A year and a half after a massive earthquake and subsequent tsunami left the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan severely damaged, the plant's authorities are still scrambling to find space to store the tens of thousands of tons of highly contaminated water that was used to cool the broken reactors. And the problem is far from contained. The water is stored in gigantic tanks surrounding the Daiichi power plant, and TEPCO, the Tokyo Electric Power Company, has been working to clear more room for a volume of water that's expected to more than triple in the next 3 years. Finding a place to store over 200,000 tons of radioactive water is no easy task, especially with the added factor that Japan is an island nation highly susceptible to earthquakes and tsunamis. And if the situation in Japan isn't daunting enough, it becomes more complicated when you throw in the fact that nuclear authorities are entangled with the Yakuza, Japan's most notorious crime syndicate. That's right. According to Japanese government sources, the Yakuza has a long history of involvement in Japan's nuclear industry that dates back over a decade. Undercover reporters have exposed TEPCO payoffs to the Yakuza to keep quiet about safety issues and potential scandals. Look, we already know that TEPCO is corrupt as hell. In fact, they knew that the reactors were faulty, and they even falsified documents in the past to downplay the poor conditions of the reactors years before the disaster. So, who is TEPCO having work on the disaster cleanup? Well, unfortunately, a group of veteran engineers called the Skilled Veterans Corps for Fukushima has been denied access to clean up the radioactive mess. The Skilled Veterans Corps is made up of 700+ retired workers from the Fukushima plant, many of them elders who expect to die of natural causes long before the long-term effects of radiation exposure could make them sick. Aside from the fact that these men are willing to lay down their lives for the cleanup effort, I find it mind-boggling to believe that TEPCO is denying them access. It starts to make sense, however, when you take into account the outsourcing of organized crime labor by TEPCO. The arrest of a Yakuza boss who allegedly supplied workers for reconstruction efforts is helping shine a light on the whole operation. Japanese law enforcement officials have disclosed that starting in May of last year, gang members were sent to the damaged reactors, where they performed cleanup work and began rebuilding damaged areas. The subcontractor for TEPCO then awarded the extra hazard pay to the crime boss, and a portion of the money was used to settle debts with the crime syndicate. Now, while you might be thinking that gang members and criminals going in to help clean up a nuclear disaster sounds like a good idea, think about it this way. These workers are being sacrificed to do this job because they are indebted to the mob. They are desperate for work, and many of them have little to no experience being sent to what they're doing. Think about what I just said. This may be the most important aspect of all. A nuclear disaster resulting from 3 major nuclear meltdowns is unfolding by the minute, and who's sent to work on it? Gang members with no experience. The cleanup efforts must be worked on properly, or could result in the spread of 85 times the amount of dangerous CS-137 isotope that the Chernobyl disaster sent around the world. Listen, guys, this is insane. If the potential for a global catastrophe isn't opening people's eyes to the technological insanity that is nuclear energy, then I don't know what will. The idea of nuclear energy does not account for human error, Mother Nature's wrath, and the impossibility of storing the waste. We clearly can't count on the industry or the government to look out for the people of this planet. We are the ones who need to demand an end to this madness.